Dan, I'm a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. Are you a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog?
I'm too young for Sonic the Hedgehog. I think weirdly, I think I'd never. I had one of the originals, but yeah, I don't really remember them. I mean,
Oh, you're
yeah.
serious? I thought you were taking a mig.
No, I genuinely never had a console that had one of the original good Sonics on.
Oh no, because you didn't have an Xbox 360. Did you? I was going to say Sonic. No, Sonic Generations was on PS3, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Was that a good one?
I think it was a good one. Yeah, I do.
Ah, okay, fair enough then. I never played it, but yeah.
Okay, let me change tack then. Dan, you're a fan of Pokemon, aren't you?
I'm a massive fan of Pokemon. Yeah.
Okay, the developer of Pokemon is called Game Freak, and to my knowledge, actually, they're only really known for doing Pokemon games, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think they've done one or two other things. But yeah, I mean, Pokemon's the one that everyone knows them for.
Right, well, maybe that's going to change because Tembo, and I always want to call him Tempo, but Tembo the Badass Elephant is a 2D, 2.5D sort of platform game featuring an elephant and is not only made by Game Freak, but published by Sega.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit insane, isn't it?
What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that... Because for listeners out there, Tembo is basically a Sonic game.
It is.
With an elephant. And it's a rather good one.
Now, hang on. Do you think that we think it's a Sonic game with an elephant because Sega are involved? Do you think if, I don't know, Activision or Ubisoft were publishing this, do you think, honestly, the comparison would still be in your head?
Well, I wrote the review over the weekend, and that'll be out. There's probably this video's attached to it.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I didn't realise until I was looking up the details for who published it that Sega actually was the publisher.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine then. So, yeah, because I was wondering, because I knew it was Sega.
Yeah, you see, I'm sure it has been on the titles, splash screen at the start. I just haven't paid attention. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realise, and all through it, I was thinking, this is Sonic. This is a Sonic game. And then it was, there was a line in the review, and I've gone, Sega, this is how it's done. And I had to change that because I then realised that Sega actually had published it.
Yeah.
Which got a bit embarrassing.
No, it is. Because it's even got like the sort of Sonic roll, although it's more of a era. Because I've played this on Xbox One, and you reviewed it on PS4.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, they're identical. So let's not worry about frame rate discussions or which one's 1080p. Because kind of doesn't matter. Because it's people will be seeing it. It's a really gorgeous color. Do that's the thing? Like when you get a game like this, it reminds you of how good games can look in that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 2D platformers, some of them are fantastic looking. Rayman, the Rayman series, the 2D reboot of it, they're fantastic. This kind of ranks up there with that. I mean, it's not quite as beautiful, but it's just vibrant and colourful. And a large part of the game, you're basically in a city. It's what it is, but they still manage to make it colourful. It's not all greys and dark colours. There's flashes of brightness and things. It just looks gorgeous.
I quite like the way the text pops off the screen, like as he hits things and as he runs. And...
Yeah, as he runs along, better kind of thing, and it's a weird mix of kind of 2D cartoons and like 2.5D destructible scenery, which kind of like breaks towards the screen and stuff and looks a bit more chunky. And weirdly, you wouldn't think those two would work, but I mean, as you can see in the video that's playing behind us, it just works. It looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's a glorious looking game and quite a nice sounding game. To be honest with you, I really like it. I think I like it just as much as you, judging by what score you gave it. But it's quite hard. That's the one thing I would say, that you kind of look at games like this and you think they look like, that's just a simple platformer. But I actually think it's quite hard, quite quick.
Yeah, I mean, the difficulty curve is quite steep, I guess, at the start, because it throws in the enemy types are kind of what make it difficult. Because the platforming sections, none of it's actually that hard.
No, I don't mean the platforming. I must admit, I should have clarified. When I say the difficulty, I kind of feel like, because that's one thing that's slightly unusual. You do have a health bar, don't you?
Yeah.
And that sort of it takes a while to go down, but then all of a sudden it's really low and it's flashing. You're like, oh shit! I find I take damage not too quickly, but I'm not being precise enough. I don't know. Maybe the controls I find a little bit fiddly, if I'm being critical.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I can kind of see that. Like the charge attack is a little bit. I don't know. It can you don't stop immediately, and you mentioned there's a bounce kind of roll attack, that's kind of similar to Sonic in a lot of ways, but it's the same buttons as a charge and a jump, just in the opposite order. And too many times you'll go to do one and end up doing the other, and you'll bounce into an enemy's kind of bullet path because the enemy's attacks are quite scripted. You can kind of see them coming from like a mile off. But yeah, you'll accidentally throw yourself into it, and yeah, I don't even know if it's quite hard. It just kind of gets occasionally frustrating. Those little bits where you kind of, you just fuck up and you can't tell if it's you or if it's the game, and that's never cool.
I guess I don't feel like sometimes. Again, now I've only played it on Xbox One, so maybe God, who knows? Maybe there is a thing about it, the Xbox One version of today. But I kind of feel like sometimes when you hold the dash button, it doesn't always dash as quickly as you kind of feel it should, and I feel because of that, I don't have as. I mean, maybe I'm being unfair, but I don't feel I have the precise control over Tembo that I want to have. But then again, he's an elephant, so should he have... I don't know. Do you get what I mean? I just don't feel it's quite as precise. Like, I want to hit the dash button and instantly be dashing, and I feel that sometimes it just doesn't work.
It takes a split second almost to get up to speed, and you need to be, like, holding run as well.
Also,
so
you
know
can't...
you already need to be moving before you kind of get up to the speed. Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. I don't think the precision's that necessary, though, in a lot of ways, because, like we said, the platforming isn't actually that hard. And if you think if it was like perfect Mario style, this bounce carries you this far, it probably wouldn't be that difficult at all. Like the imprecise controls, again, it's kind of more mistakes that they cause you to make rather than a difficulty, I guess. But I can't say it ruined the enjoyment for me. I mean, I absolutely love playing it. I mean, I don't know how far through you are.
I'm not even halfway, to be honest. It's one of those ones I kind of want to play more of. I've played through the first world and a bit, and I feel like after that first world, it really does like change. Not dramatically, but visually it changes. And I mean, one of the things I find is that is it my imagination? You can sort of do that typically 2D jumpy thing where when you jump, you can also sort of hover a little bit to give yourself. You can't do that if you were dashing. Is that
no? If you were dashing, you just kind of continue into a dashing leap, which carries you further. But if you let go of the dash button, it kind of stops.
Yeah,
it's not.
You can't then transpose into. You can't be dash, running, jump, let go of dash, then hover, can you? That's a really weird description, but
yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean though. That makes sense. Weirdly makes sense. It's weird. It lacks a certain sense of flow that maybe the Sonic games had.
Well, the early Sonic games.
The early Sonic games had, I made the Rayman comparison earlier on. It almost reminds me more of Mario in that sort of sense. I mean, I've never particularly got on with the 2D Mario games. But they sometimes, I felt, lack a little bit of a flow.
See, I mean, what about Mario World? I mean, we've had this discussion, haven't we?
I think we have. I don't think I played it. I think that was the problem.
If you like Tembo as much as you do, which, if you read the review, which you'll be able to see a thing saying, click here to read this review, so do that. If you like this that much, you really, really should go pick up Super Mario World.
Okay, what can I get that on, though?
Wii U.
Wii U. Okay, well.
Virtual Console. I'm sure on the podcast that
you said that. Yeah,
that if you buy it and don't like it, I will give you the money, and I maintain that. That's now on record twice. That if you buy Mario World on Wii U Virtual Console and don't like it, I'll pay for it. It's that I just don't see how it's possible.
True. I mean, back. Okay, well, I might take you up on that. But back to Tembo. Yeah. I mean, this is the first game that I've reviewed that I've gone on to 100% everything.
Yeah, that's rare.
Past year, get to the end and defeat the main boss. There's also like 10 civilians hidden around each level to collect, and each enemy has like a points value, and there's a counter at the top showing you how many enemies are left in like a level, basically.
Yeah.
And there's another trophy for kind of getting all them in a level, and it's the first game that I've ever played where I've gone through and got all of that even before it's out, let alone after, which. I think that says a lot about how much I enjoyed the game and how much I enjoyed actually the controls once I kind of got into it.
Big time.
There are some niggles. Some of the boss fights. The boss fights are probably the weakest bits, unfortunately. The first one I did in 30 seconds. The final one I had to turn off the entire console and walk away from it multiple times because that frustrated me.
But that's very Sonic. Again, it's weird because Game Freak didn't make Sonic, but that is quite a Sonic thing. Like, I don't think of Sonic as amazing boss fights. I think of some. It might have been Sonic 2 where there's like one in the pinball area, and it's really quite frustratingly awkward and annoying. It's weird. It's really weird that this is such a Sonic game when it's Sega are publishing it. That they could have had nothing to do with it aside from publishing it, and yet it feels like a Sonic game.
It does feel very like a Sonic game, and it's almost kind of come out of nowhere as well, which surprises me for the company that it is.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to make of that, to be honest.
No.
I mean, I guess if this wasn't a Sega game, you'd maybe wouldn't have as many Sonic comparisons. But then, like I said, I didn't actually know it was a Sega game for them while playing it.
It's
so
difficult. I mean, it's hard to not... When you're talking about 2D platformer, you're going to naturally compare it to either Mario or Sonic because they are the 2D platformers that kind of everyone knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, go and read Dan's review. It is a really good game, and it's. I worry that nobody's going to play it because it kind of has come out of nowhere. All right, it's coming out at a time when there's not a lot out, but I don't know, these digital games, like they used to be, like you think back to Summer of Arcade with Microsoft and like a game like I've forgotten the name of it, the one that Chair made, the one that was a Metroid game. You know, these games used to be like, oh wow, everyone's talking about it. That doesn't happen with digital games now, and I worry no one will play this.
Well, there's so many coming out all of the time. Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is, not many people necessarily know Game Freak. That sounds weird, but
no, you're right.
You know, you think Pokemon. Oh, it's just the Pokemon.
Nintendo.
Guys.
People think Nintendo do Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not necessarily got, and it's not even similar to Pokemon. So it's not like, oh right, okay, it's going to be a good that style game. It's something completely different. And yeah, I don't know if, it's from the Pokemon guys, it's going to be enough of a selling point to make people actually go out and get it.
Well, on that sad note, we will still say it's a great game. Go read Dan's review. Follow Dan on Twitter at MaxShanks, myself at GBSF, and of course our beloved site at God is a Geek. If you've seen this video elsewhere, go to youtube.com/GodIsAGeek and hit that subscribe button. Everyone counts. Leave us a comment. If you don't like what we have to say, we'd like to hear about that just as much as if you think we're great. Or, even if you just feel ambivalent, that's fine. I say all the negativity, as I've always said, it just makes our erections that much stronger. So please do all of that. And Dan, thanks for your time.
Anytime.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.